In this problem, we're doing a statistical study where an insurance company is wanting to determine the proportion of all medical doctors who've been involved in one or more malpractice suits. Notice that word proportion. Many students kind of get confused by that word. You could really think about replacing that word with the word percent. We're determining the percent of all medical doctors who've had one or more malpractice suits, or the fraction of all medical doctors who've had one or more malpractice suits. So that's what we're talking about when we say proportion, the fraction of them or the percentage of them. So this company selects 500 doctors at random from a professional directory and determines the number in the sample who've been involved in a malpractice suit is 160 of them out of the 500. So that's 32% of those sampled doctors. So in this question, we're just going to look at a few of the vocabulary words. First, we want to identify the observational units. In our book, observational units are defined as the individual entities on which data is recorded. So it's the things we're observing, the things we're writing down information about. So in this problem, the observational units are the 500 doctors that were selected from that professional directory. Next, we're asked to identify the variable and identify if that variable is quantitative or categorical. Recall, variables are the recorded characteristics of those observational units. So it's the things you write down about the observational units. So if you imagine that you were the one conducting this study, you maybe would go up to each of these 500 doctors with your little clipboard, and you want to ask yourself, what information are you writing down about each doctor out of the 500? The thing you're writing down about each doctor is the variable. So in this case, we're wanting to know, did the doctor have an involvement in one or more malpractice suits, or did the doctor not have involvement in one or more malpractice suits? So you kind of write down yes or no. The variable is whether the medical doctor has been involved in one or more malpractice suits or not. This is categorical. So you would write down like, yes, he has, or no, she hasn't, one or the other. It's not a number, it's a category, yes or no. Lastly, we're asked to identify the outcomes of this variable, i.e., what is the data you would collect? So again, you're asking yourself, when you have stood in front of all these 500 doctors with your clipboard and you have written down a piece of information about each one, and you look at that resulting information on your piece of paper, what would it look like? It would be a big list of yes and no, right? That would be what you would have. So the outcomes, the data is yes, was involved in one or more malpractice suits, or no, was not involved. So just a big list of yeses and nos.